Hey Geek, so let's talk about woke gaming and how I kind of feel that this is the end. So this is a topic that I think most people who play games nowadays, they're very familiar with, and it could be something that's very controversial. And at least for me, this whole idea of woke games, DEI, all this other stuff, it really takes away from making a great game. That's just my personal opinion because back in the day, whenever I started playing games, which was since the days of Atari to Nintendo to Sega, PlayStation, Xbox, I played all those game systems. I even had a 3DO and Atari Jaguar. So I've been around. And back then, it was not about that. Back then it was just making a great game. And whenever you talk to your friends and you're thinking about buying a game or something, it was always about the game, like 90 something percent. But over the years, it's really shifted over to stuff outside of the games, politics, ideologies, and then now you're arguing over things like pronouns and stuff like that, and that makes no sense to me. But it does make sense to the people who actually want to push these things, okay? So that's definitely a different topic. But what I can say is over the years, this whole plan goal of having woke games, having DEI invested in these games have really failed. Some recent examples are Star Wars Outlaws, Dragon Age The Veilguard, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, and the biggest failure so far is Concord. And a lot of these games have been in development for a while. I think Dragon Age The Veilguard was in development for about 10 years, Concord 8 years. And so a lot of these ideas and thoughts probably are older, and games take a long time to develop. And obviously they had a lot of investments from large companies who are not only putting this in gaming, but many other areas of entertainment as well. And the bottom line is that, well, these games are not making money. They failed. And at the end of the day, that is all that matters to these companies. They honestly do not care about messaging, ideology, politics, whatever. Because once they start losing money consistently, especially if it's a large amount of money, they're going to make a change. And that's exactly what's been happening here recently. I think about a year or so ago, and this has been happening for a few years now, more and more layoffs, more games that were planned to be made are not being made. Game studios are being shut down. For example, Firewalk Studios, which developed Concord, they were shut down. And a lot of games that were consulted by Sweet Baby Inc., their game studios either shut down or had a lot of layoffs. And so you could see the writing on the wall. And I think 2025 and beyond is going to accelerate that even further, as the whole idea of making money, being profitable is going to be at the top of every game company's list, even more so now that these companies are owned by much, much larger companies. They're part of these large conglomerates, part of Microsoft, part of Sony. Nintendo really hasn't gotten to that whole game yet. I don't know of many game studios that are owned by Nintendo. But the idea is still the same. If these portions of these companies, subsidiaries or whatever, are not making money, they'll shut them down really, really quick. So those are my thoughts on woke gaming and how I feel it's going to end. It's going to be game over for them. And hopefully we'll go back to focusing on making great games that people enjoy, have fun, come back to recommend to other people, and that they finally remember, like I still think about Pac-Man today, and that's still a fun game, or playing Super Mario Brothers, or playing Shinobi, things that I really love and they're timeless. And I can't really say the same for most modern games. But then again, I am not much of a modern gamer. So with all that being said, let's talk about Elon Musk, because this whole idea of woke gaming is something that Elon Musk is also very passionate about. So we see here, he's talked about this in the past. He says video games need to get rid of the woke BS. And he said that a while ago, back in March, but I think he's mentioned this many times. And well, it looks like Elon Musk might be starting his own AI game studios to make games great again. So one division of X, I think it's XAI, he's thinking of possibly starting up his own gaming studio. So he says too many game studios are owned by massive corporations, XAI is going to start an AI game studio to make games great again. That's kind of funny he said that because X is a massive corporation. So I'm not sure what he's talking about that, but I really feel that he's thinking that maybe game development has, number one, steered away from making great games, but also a lot of these large games, they have a lot of overhead, a lot of people involved, lots of money. And so there's definitely efficiencies that could be put in place. And Elon Musk is really good at that. So I'm thinking something like his AI game studio will probably allow game developers to produce really big games without having a big team. And Elon Musk, he is a gamer. You know, he's currently the #1 Diablo 4 player in the world. And back in the day, I think he was one of the top players of Quake in the world as well. So he's been gaming for a long time. But that doesn't mean that he's going to be able to produce a good game. Obviously, he himself is probably not going to create this game. It's going to be hard because game development is not easy. You know, if you look at companies like Microsoft, Sony, you know, Nintendo, they put billions of dollars, you know, especially, you know, companies like Microsoft or Google or Facebook or Amazon, they've all tried gaming and they have tons and tons of money. So we'll see how this goes. But personally, I kind of think if anybody's going to get into a segment and have a likely chance of success, it's probably going to be Elon Musk because he's one of the few people who's in so many different business verticals and is successful for the most part. And it's not an easy feat. And so I think Elon Musk, he probably has a good chance. And we'll see what happens, you know, regardless of what you think about Elon Musk himself. If you actually look at what he's been able to do and continues to do, it's pretty hard to argue with the results. And I'm hoping that this leads to something substantial because if that means that, you know, game developers are able to produce really great games at a lower cost, then that's always a good thing. And it goes back to what I said earlier. If we could go back to focusing on making really great games again, I think that's something that all gamers can agree with. So if you actually had any thoughts on this, be sure to leave in the comments area below, and I'll see you on another episode. Hey geeks, if you are a brand new creator and you simply want something easy to get you started, well, I got something for you with my Creator Starter Kit. This is a super simple step-by-step guide that's going to take you from having no channel to developing your very first YouTube channel, along with ideas, thumbnail designs, and other creator tips, including marketing. And the best part is, all of this is free. Simply head over to the link below, check out my page, and get started creating.